Hey everybody, I'm Hatem and welcome to episode 4 of Bayt.com's Career Talk. Over the first 3 episodes, we took you through CV building or online profile building and the approach you should have. Episode 2, we took you through personal branding and what to do to stand out as the professional you want to be in the eyes of the recruiter online. And last episode, we took you through acing a phone interview. And today's episode, episode 4, is about interviews. And specifically what to do and what not to do. We'll be taking you through 5 do's and 5 don'ts of interviews to make sure you ace that physical interview when you're there in person with the recruiter. Number 1, homework. Do your homework. School isn't over yet. We're still having to study some things in our lives. And this is one of these things that you want to pay attention to and do your homework at home with regards to what the company's about, what the company's products are, who their competitors are, what departments function inside that company, what your role is expected to be inside that company. Prepare yourself for the question in the interview, what do you know about us? Number 2, questions. Prepare your questions. Not the questions that they'll be asking you, but questions that you want to ask them at the end of the interview. Pay attention to the types of questions and the conversations you're having with the recruiter throughout the interview, and make sure to ask relevant questions at the end. Maybe you want to ask about what kind of training would be available once you start the job. Maybe you'd want to ask them about the deadlines, the projects that you might be taking on, your responsibilities in the role. Responsibilities, again, leading back to the first question, you might want to do your homework on beforehand. But ask maybe about the type of team that you'll be working with, the type of dynamics that you might have with the team. Show a keen interest in the job itself and that you've paid attention throughout the interview to ask relevant questions. Number 3, your attire. Make sure you dress appropriately for the job. If you're applying to a bank, you might want to show up in a suit. If you're applying to a tech company, for example, or a creative agency, a lot of that is moving towards the casual or smart casual way. Now, don't show up on the first day to the interview just in a t-shirt and jeans. If you know that that's the company culture, at least show up with a blazer. Show that smart casual that you're presenting yourself in a presentable manner. And if you've done your homework on the company, then you know how they dress. You know what the culture is like internally. And it's very easy to find out. A lot of these companies post internal pictures on their Facebook pages. So you can go in, see pictures of their parties, their gatherings, their inner workings, and see how they dress and get a feel for the company culture and present yourself in a relatable manner that shows that you know what the company's about and you're there to fit in. Number 4, timing. What time do you arrive to the interview? We recommend, or most people would recommend, arriving about 10 minutes before your interview time. Don't show up too early to the interview. You don't want to be showing up too early and just sitting around waiting in the office. 10 minutes is more or less a perfect timing to show up before the interview. Now, before that, do your research. Open up Google Maps. See how far the office is. Does it need time to find a parking spot? Is it difficult to find a parking spot or not? Are you taking public transportation? How much time will that take you? Maybe you want to show up super early, but then find a coffee shop nearby to stay in just to ensure that you arrive to the interview on time. Number 5, your body language. Sit up straight. Have good posture. Maintain eye contact. Take care of your hand gestures. You don't want to be doing things too wild. Have them controlled with the recruiter. You might want to use them to emphasize certain points. At the same time, your tone of voice plays a part in this as well. As far as your posture goes, you might want to lean in forward just ever so slightly. It shows a slight interest, or it shows a lot of interest actually, in what the recruiter has to say. Likewise, don't lean back too much, otherwise you come across as too relaxed, maybe not even caring about the job. So maintain that and be very conscious of what your posture is like and your tone of voice and your hand gestures. And now for the don'ts. And number 1, your CV. Do not rely on it. Your CV got you as far as the phone interview that you aced in the last step. But now you need to impress them in person. You still need to sell yourself in person. Sure, the information is on your CV, and if they ask you anything about anything that's already on your CV, they still want to hear it coming from you. They want to gauge your communication skills. They want to see how you are in person, your confidence, if they can see that you would be a cultural fit for the organization or not. So do make sure to take extra care and attention on how you're presenting yourself, how you're speaking to the recruiter, your confidence, your communication, your tone of voice, and make sure that you're coming across as the right fit for the organization. This is your chance to shine. Number 2, do not panic. If you don't know an answer to one of the questions that the recruiter has asked you in person, don't panic. If you start getting nervous and anxious, you're not going to be able to think clearly or give a coherent answer to their question. If you don't know the answer, maybe you want to ask them to ask the question in a slightly different way. A, that will give you more time to think about what you want to say in a more comprehensive manner. And B, you might understand the question better if they just asked it in a different way. So ask them maybe to pose the question in a different way, but definitely do not panic. It will go downhill from there with the interview if you start getting anxious and nervous in the interview. Number 3, don't ask about what the salary is in that first interview. If you've watched episode 3, we've also advised the same thing in the phone interview. Hold off. Sooner or later, the recruiter is going to ask you, what are you expecting for a salary? Because they want to know if you fit their budget. So that conversation is going to come up sooner or later. So hold off from asking it. If you ask it too early on, then your priorities might come across as different to the recruiter, that you're interested in the pay more than the job itself. They want to know what you can do for their organization. And likewise, they want to know what they can do for you as a career, as a professional, and how you can grow within that organization. So keep the discussion about the job, about your career, about the organization, and away from the financial and the salaries. That will come up sooner or later. Number 4, do not lie. The second they feel like you might be lying or they catch you lying, you could say goodbye to that job. You're definitely not getting that job. So this one is very straight to the point. Do not lie, you will be caught out sooner or later. And number 5, don't get too relaxed. I know I've told you number 2, not to panic, but that doesn't mean you should be too relaxed. We've mentioned this in the do's. Do take care of your body language. Likewise, make sure you're not too relaxed. It shows that you may not care about the job, that you're too, maybe it could come across as arrogance at some points. Even if you're super comfortable with the recruiter and you're getting along fantastic with them, don't be too relaxed. Make sure you maintain your professionalism in your body language and in your posture. Too relaxed can sometimes work against you. You need to show that confidence, but not confidence to the extent where you're coming across as not caring about the job. And that's it for episode 4. Thank you for watching. And as always, if you feel like you have something to add to this topic of interviews, share them in the comments down below. And if you have any future questions that you want us to address in the next episodes, make sure you email them to careertalk@Bayt.com. And as always, like, subscribe, and we'll see you in the next episode.